Hi, I'm Wes and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you 5 easy, no-sew ways you can upcycle your old hoodies. The supplies you're going to need are fabric shears, a measuring device of some sort. It could be a ruler or a measuring tape, tailor's chalk, and several old hoodies that you don't mind cutting up. The first way that you can upcycle a hoodie is the easiest, and we're just going to make it a cropped hoodie. So to do that, we're just going to cut it right above where the pocket is. So I'm going to put one mark right here with my tailor's chalk. And then we're going to measure up from the bottom of the hoodie to where that mark is. And it looks like that is about 9 3/4. So I'm going to take that measurement, 9 3/4, and I'm going to mark that up all the way around the hoodie from the bottom. Now we've got a guideline all the way around. And here's the back. So that's going to be our cut line. Cut up into it until we get to that line. Just follow it all the way around. And try to keep it a nice clean edge. And then we have a cropped hoodie. The second way that you can upcycle a hoodie is to make it a sleeveless hoodie. And to do that, I'm going to mark how deep I want the armholes on my body. I like the armholes a little bit lower, so I'm going to take my tailor's chalk, just put a chalk mark right here, where I like it. So we've got a chalk mark over here on this side seam, to make it a little bit darker actually. And we're going to take our ruler and measure up from the bottom of the hoodie, up the side seam to where that chalk mark is. And it looks like it's about 9.5 inches. So we're going to take that measurement, 9.5 inches, and then go over to the other side seam and mark that as well, just to make sure that both the armholes are the same depth. Now, up at the shoulder seams, we're going to mark in about a 1/2 inch from where the armhole seam is at. We'll put a chalk mark there as well. And then the same thing on the other side. We'll go in a 1/2 inch at the shoulder seam. So now we've got chalk marks up here and at the side seams. And now we're just going to draw in an armhole to cut out on each side. So it's going to be just a gentle curve down to the side seam from the shoulder seam. So something kind of like that. Then same thing on the other side. So now we've got two cutting lines on each side that we can use to cut the armholes. So you want to make sure that this is nice and flat when you're cutting it, because we're going to cut two layers at the same time. And then we're just going to cut a nice smooth line to make the new armhole. Okay, then the other side. We get rid of these, that's waste. Now you don't have to cut the armholes this deep. You could actually just cut them about half as deep, maybe right where the armholes seam ends, but I like them a little bit lower. The third way you can upcycle a hoodie is to make it into a boat neck top. And the first thing I'm going to do for that is mark where I want the sleeves to be short. I like the sleeves to be right at my elbow, so I'm just going to feel where that is and take my tailor's chalk and put a mark there. And that's where I know where to cut the sleeve. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So next, we're gonna cut off the sleeves to the length that we want. I'll use my ruler and find that chalk mark from before, and then just draw it all the way across. And then we'll just cut it off. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other sleeve. Find the chalk mark and draw a line. And then we'll cut it off on it. The next thing we want to do is make the neckline a little bit wider and cut off the hood. So I'm going to take my ruler, and then right where the seam is, where the hood is attached, I'm going to mark out 1 inch from that seam all the way around the neckline with my chalk. So I'm going to do 1 inch, 1 inch, all the way around. If you decide that you want the neckline to be a little bit wider later on, You can always go and cut more off later and make it a little more than 1 inch off. But I would start with 1 inch at first to make sure that you don't make it too big. Okay, now we've got it marked all the way around the neckline, 1 inch from the seam. And then I'm gonna cut down the center front until I get to that line. And then we'll cut that off all the way around. Then we have a boat neck shirt. The fourth way that you can upcycle a hoodie is to turn it into a V-neck shirt with a lace up on the front. So we're going to cut the hood off this one as well, but we're not going to cut it 1 inch away from the neckline. We're just going to cut it really close to the seam right here, maybe just 1/4 inch around. So we'll cut off that first. Okay, we've got the hood off, and I cut it just low enough to get the hood cut off. Now, we don't need the hood, but we do need this string. So you can remove that and set it to the side. Okay, so we're gonna pull out the string from the hood. Okay, this part we don't need. We can get rid of that, but we're going to save the string for later. The next thing we need to do is find the center front line of the hoodie. And the easiest way to do that is by folding it in half and matching the shoulder seams. So match those. So it's perfectly matched up here at the shoulder seams. And now we're going to match the side seams. Get it nice and flat. Now this fold line right here is right where the center front of the hoodie is. So we're going to take our chalk and mark the folded edge. We're not going to mark all the way down the front of the hoodie, maybe just about halfway down should be good. So I don't know if you can see this on the camera, the chalk marks are pretty faint, but you only need to see it just a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll open it back up, and we have some chalk marks going down the center front of the hoodie. The next thing we want to do is right up here where we cut off at the cut edge. We're going to mark 1 inch on either side of that center front line. So I'm going to measure 1 inch over here, put chalk mark, and then 1 inch over on the other side. Next, I've tried on the hoodie, and I'm gonna mark how far down the center line I want the V-neck to be. So I'm just gonna feel it out. I think maybe about right here is good. I'm gonna put a chalk mark right there. And then you can take your tag off. Now this hoodie has a print that you can see, so you really want to look at this and make sure that you've got it going perfectly down the center so that the print is the same on both sides. Otherwise it's going to look really bad. So we've got our 1 inch from the center front marked up here, and then a line going down the center front. And then it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a mark right here how far I decided to cut the V open to. So now I'm going to take my ruler from this mark down here up to one of these 1 inch marks. I'm going to draw a line. That's 1/2 from my V-neck. And then we'll draw the other one over here. So now you can see we have the guideline for where to cut out a V-neck, and that's what we're going to do next. Cut this out. Now if there's any visible chalk marks after you get done working on your hoodies, they do wash out with the tailor's chalk. Get rid of this piece. Now, the number of holes and the placement of the holes can vary depending on how deep you make your V-neck. But I'm going to do 5 holes on each side for my string. And before we do that, we're going to mark a 1/2 inch from the cut edge. We're going to put a dashed line all the way around the V-neck. So this 1/2 inch is going to be the mark for how far away you're going to put the holes from the cut edge. You don't want to get too close to the cut edge because otherwise the hole might come out totally. So on my hoodie, I'm going to start 1 inch down from the top of the cut edge, and then I'm going to space the holes 2 inches apart all the way down. So the first one is going to be 1 inch down. Put a little mark here. And then another 2 inches, another 2 inches, another 2 inches, one more. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks of where I'm going to put holes. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So the first one, go down 1 inch, and then we're going to put a mark every 2 inches until we have 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks on the other side, and these are going to be our holes that we're going to cut for where we're going to lace up the shirt. Now the important thing here is to make sure you don't cut these holes too big, no more than 1/4 of an inch, because they are going to stretch out over time and as you lace up the hoodie, and you don't want them to be too large. So we're just going to cut tiny little holes. Okay, I've got my holes cut. Now you can get out the string from the hoodie that we saved, and you're going to lace it up starting at the bottom. And that's it. We have a cool V-neck shirt with a lace up on the front. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, I hope you'll give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you'll get notified whenever I come out with a new video. I hope you'll connect with me on social media and send me all the pictures of the hoodies you've upcycled. Thanks, bye!